It would be so much easier if we could read animals' minds. This whale suddenly swallowed a diver, and then 5 minutes later, everyone was extremely shocked by something that will blow your minds. Miguel loved diving and snorkeling, which was really good since he was a marine biologist. He did a lot of diving for work, but each time was new and special. There wasn't anything routine about his job, but there are some experiences that he will never forget. When Miguel and his team went into the ocean one day, they had no idea that it would be the most memorable and terrifying day of their lives. The boat stopped a distance away from a reef, far enough not to do any damage, and then Miguel and another diver headed out. They were seeing a lot of animals because visibility was so great that day. They had to collect some data, and it was going well. They were focused on their work, but at the same time, the divers wouldn't miss a great opportunity to watch wildlife as they went past. They were close to some areas known for humpback whale breeding, so it wasn't strange to see them coming past in the deeper water. The creatures were beautiful. They're known as the gentle giants of the marine world, and they're always special to see. But one of them was going to act very strangely on this day, and everyone would be shocked. Miguel's diving partner needed to return to the boat with some samples, so Miguel decided to hang around and just look at the ocean for a little while. As an expert diver, diving solo wasn't an issue, and they weren't that deep either, so it shouldn't have been a problem. But even the biggest expert in the world can get into trouble. The humpback whales went past, and then something wild happened. One suddenly broke away and swam straight up to Miguel. It's always a better idea to keep your distance from such a large wild animal, despite their reputation for being gentle. It was still huge, and without intending to, the animal could injure a human easily if it bumped into them. Generally, just getting out of the way was enough to avoid them, but not this time. Each time Miguel changed direction, the humpback followed him. It came up close and he held out his hand. The whale swam right into it, and he was petting a humpback whale. It was an emotional and beautiful experience. After a few seconds, though, the whale became pushier. It was seriously strange. She used her fin and tried to push Miguel underneath her. The man tried to move away, but the whale just kept coming. Getting that close to the humpback was dangerous. Her skin was full of barnacles, and his wetsuit was getting cut by the sharp edges. He tried to push her to the side, hoping she would go past him, but she wasn't interested. It was becoming slightly frightening. Miguel was all alone, and he needed to stay calm, or he might not make it out alive. Suddenly, she started pushing Miguel on her nose, and despite being a powerful swimmer, he had no way to stop her. She pushed him to the surface. The team saw him coming up from the boat, and then a humpback whale was right next to him, pushing him forward. But they were too far away to do anything. Besides, what could they do against an animal that can weigh up to 40 metric tons? In seconds, things changed, and they watched something shocking happen. Miguel could see the boat and the people, and he knew how close he was to safety, but there was just no way to get to it. A human will never outswim a whale. Even keeping them on the surface wouldn't help much, because they breathe air too. They spend a lot of time on the surface of the ocean, and they're powerful creatures. In the water, he had no means to overpower her and get away. He was completely under her control. This was a man who had swum in the ocean before he could walk and talk. He had done hundreds of dives and seen many animals, including many whales. But now, for the first time ever, he was scared. Even worse, he was scared of an animal that he considered his favorite. The team on the boat was in shock. They couldn't believe it either. A humpback whale was not supposed to act in this way. And then they were shocked even more. The whale suddenly swallowed the diver and went under the water. By then they had the smaller rubber duck ready, and they raced towards where they had last seen Miguel. They didn't know what to do or how to act. There are safety protocols for many different sea creatures, but for humpback whales, just keeping your distance is normally enough. But of course, all wild animals can be dangerous. Even so, they couldn't believe that they had just witnessed a man being swallowed alive. 5 minutes passed, and they saw no signs of Miguel. They needed to head back to the boat and call ocean rescue to come and assist them in finding him and the humpback. There was deathly silence hanging over all of them. No one could have seen this coming, and they didn't expect what was coming next either. They got back to the boat, and everyone was extremely shocked to see that Miguel was already on the boat. He was lying on his back, out of breath and exhausted, but he was alive and completely unharmed. Everyone started asking questions at once, but he held up his hand to stop them, and then he filled in the blanks. Everything they thought was wrong. The whale was trying to push him toward the boat, but he didn't realize it, so he was fighting. That was when she opened her mouth, and everybody thought she'd swallowed him. She did pull him underneath the water again, maybe because she felt she could swim faster in deeper depths and control this human who wasn't cooperating. Miguel still had no clue what was going on, but they were close to the rocks of the reef, and he could get seriously injured if he tried to fight and got backed up against the rocks. She had a gentle hold on him, and because he still had his diving gear on, he was breathing underwater. He had to fight to keep his breathing even, but years of practice helped him despite the terror bubbling inside of him. When it became clear that she wasn't going to let him go, he decided that the best course of action was to relax his body and go with it. Fighting was only going to get him injured, and if he relaxed, he might find an opportunity to get free. He had no idea that he was fighting against the wrong animal the entire time. She was pushing him forward, and then suddenly, she stopped and tried to hide him under her pectoral fin. That's when he finally understood what was going on. Out from the side of the rocks came one of the biggest tiger sharks the diver had ever seen. It was massive. Seeing such a huge tiger shark on your own could spell big trouble. Miguel loved sharks and hated the stereotypes that surrounded them, but there's a reason people are scared of tiger sharks. They're known for being aggressive, and this one seemed to be looking for a fight. The shark kept circling the humpback whale, but its focus seemed to be on the human she was protecting. Miguel kept perfectly still. Could this shark have been stalking him for longer than he'd realized? The humpback whale was trying to protect him, and he had been doing everything to make it harder for her. She just wanted to get the human out of the area and back on his boat before he was attacked. It was incredible, but not entirely surprising. Humpback whales have been known to protect other sea creatures. There have been many sightings of them giving refuge to marine animals. It hasn't happened often that they interact in this way with humans, but it made sense. They are incredibly smart creatures. The shark seemed to understand that it wouldn't get to the human except through the whale, and it turned and swam away. But Miguel's rescuer wasn't going to take any chances. As soon as it was safe, she got him back on her nose and pushed him all the way to the boat. He rubbed her head and thanked her. As soon as he was out of the water, she left. It was incredible that a wild animal could have such a strong drive to protect a complete stranger. Everyone was safe, and they decided to call it a day and go home, but it was one they would never forget. If you liked this story, surely the next video appearing on your screen will move you too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any of our next videos. See you in the next story.